Here is new picture I drew of Mr. Luffy. If you enjoy these pictures and drawings such as these, please remember to follow me on the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a nice day.
One Piece, Chapter 141, Quack Doctor.
What? Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and epic and tantalizing and terrifying tale of One Piece. Our last chapter saw us, really the end of it was, Wapol sent being picked up by Chopper, and Chopper, of course, was still running from Luffy and Sanji as they're still trying to get deer meat. So that's how the chapter ended. This one begins back at the base of the mountain, back in Bighorn, and we had left a couple chapters ago. We had left Zoro, who of course had nailed one of Wapol's minions, subordinates, guards, whatever, taken his coat, mainly for warmth, and then pretty much was just mid stride of going all in to take him out. So we wind up seeing not so much of that. It just kind of goes and it takes us like we know that Zoro is a badass and these guys are nothing. So we go and we see kind of the aftermath of it, and he's just like, "Is that it? What the hell's going on here? That's all they had to throw at me." So and then Usopp, of course, is cheering him on. He's like, "Ah, good job, Zoro. Exactly what I ordered, right?" So just a fairly funny exchange there. Then he says, "Go ahead and save Dalton," because that's what was holding back the the villagers from obviously from saving Dalton. So everybody starts digging and going crazy and trying to find Dalton and find him, and then we kind of all of a sudden get like, "Oh wow, there he is," right? And then it goes and it's a boom, it goes back to the castle, and then we see Chopper come running in, he comes bursting in and changes back into reindeer form and starts cruising, and even Luffy and Sanji are like, "Whoa, that's cool how he can do that," but he goes cruising and gets to Dr. Kureha and says, "Wapol is back," And as that happens, then it kind of goes and it cuts back. It cuts to Wapol, and he's just like, he's outside. And he's like, "Oh, and they're at the top of the mountain now. And he's looking at his castle, and he's like, "Oh, geez, my castle," and this and that. And then there's a panel that just kind of cuts in there where all of a sudden it says, "We found Dalton, but he's dead. His heart stopped beating," And then that's all we get from that. And then it's back to Wapol, kind of, and then he's looking up at his castle. And he sees a flag up there that's not his, not for the Drum Kingdom, and he says, what is this flag? It's a pirate flag or what have you. Dr. Kureha and Chopper have come out, and Dr. Kureha says, that's I've turned your castle into a mausoleum for Hiruluk, and I think I'm pronouncing that right, Dr. Hiruluk, but if not, I'm sure I'll figure it out soon enough. But he was actually mentioned briefly in the last chapter as well, when they kind of started to give the background synopsis on Chopper and kind of what happened from and everything else. So there's a major tie to this Dr. Hiruluk. So then Luffy goes and comes out, because now he's like, "What the hell?" And he sees Wapol and he's like, "Oh, you." And it's kind of cool because it goes, and right before we go into this transition flashback, which is the entirety of the chapter from that point on, Luffy goes and he's just like, "Come on," and he's about to go and hit him with the bullet, and you see Wapol's, mouth getting all big, but, Luffy looks like he's just about to jack him up, and then all of a sudden it's just like, "Now for the tale," and I just picture it like cutting to the thing, and all of a sudden the narrator coming in and going, "And now for the tale of Drum Kingdom," the history of Drum Kingdom, 6 years ago, and so it goes and it takes us back 6 years, and it shows we're introduced very quickly to Dr. Hiruluk. He's counting some money. There was a house burning. Someone had accused or said something about how he stole the money and burned the house or what have you. The title, as a matter of fact, is entitled Quack Doctor. And it's kind of funny because that's what I was getting at a few chapters ago when I was initially introduced to Kureha. I kind of thought she was like a quack, a phony, a snake oil salesman, as there are commonly used words and terms for or phrases for that type of person, and certainly I know I've been told otherwise and everything else, but this Dr. Hiruluk, he truly does seem like he's just sort of a deranged mad scientist sort. He goes and bursts into this house because there's somebody that's sick there, and a father that's sick, and then the wife's saying, "No, it's fine, don't worry about it. I don't want to bother with that Quack or what have you. We'll go and we'll beg Wapol for the 20 doctors, right, to help out. So you know that this must be around the time that Wapol, exiled all the doctors other than his 20 special surgeons from the kingdom. And he's, no, this, and all of a sudden, Hiruluk kind of bursts in, and he's like, oh, never fear, I'm here. And they're like, no, it's okay, we're going to wait for the 20 doctors, And he's like, no, I'll take care of you. And he's like, no, listen, if it's money you want, we'll just give you money. And he's like, no, of course not. I wouldn't take any money for my services. I'm just trying to help people. I've got this cure-all, that I just came up with. As a matter of fact, you're lucky. I just came up with this a couple days ago. And gives it to and then it's funny because the mother's going and running. She's like, I'm gonna go get the guard, basically, like the patrol, what have you, the police, militia, whatever. And she's like, I'm gonna go get, because he won't leave them alone. And he goes and he's like, no, you won't. And he goes, he shoots her. And he's like, and the kid starts. There's a kid there. Their kid starts yelling out, "Oh, mommy!" And he goes, oh, don't worry, it's just a sleep dart. So he obviously hit her with some kind of trank gun, and goes back to and gives the tonic or the potion. Oh my God, excuse me. Middle of the day and I'm yawning. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. Gives the tonic or the potion to the to the father, the ailing father, and he just he appears to either die, pass out. He definitely doesn't get better. And the kid's like, no, so and you can see he's like talking to himself as he's walking out, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen, and it should have worked, and should have this, should have that. So as he goes out, and then all of a sudden the military police or what have you, the patrol has come, and they're going to come after him. So he's got to take off, like a bat out of hell, and he takes off and winds up running into Kureha, and Kureha is 133 years old at the time. Of course, for those of you that didn't want to do the math, but it does stay in there, 133 years old. And they kind of run into each other, and there's an exchange between them where he kind of calls her like like a money grubbing, like a money whore, basically, because she says you just want to do your stuff to practice your arts or what have you, your physician abilities to make money. And she's like, yeah, that's me. And he's just in it to want to cure people and help people. I think the problem is he's kind of got that syndrome where he doesn't really know what he's doing, so, and he's not really getting the end result that he wanted to begin with. That's what it seems like. So they kind of go and agree to disagree, and he's pretty much like, I hope I never see you again type of deal. And it's as of course the military police or the patrol is catching up to them. So as this patrol is catching up to him, and then you kind of hear him say something about a bomb, throws down some kind of bomb, smoke bomb, I'm not sure, maybe a bomb to blow up the bridge they were talking on so nobody can come across and get him. And he goes taking off into like the countryside, the woods, He winds up coming upon, just a little bit later, who else but Chopper. Now, when they gave the kind of brief background about Chopper, we kind of got like the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer story about how he had a shiny blue nose and nobody ever loved him, and, even though it glowed or whatever, and he always had to, his back of the bus type of thing. Well, then remember he ate the human fruit and then tried to fit in with the humans, but was certainly ostracized for that and was shunned as well by them. And they had been shooting at him and everything else. Well, this is like right after that happened, because he's been shot, he's wounded, he's hurt, he's bleeding, he's laying there, this hulking mass of a reindeer-looking human thing, laying in the snow. And Dr. Hiruluk comes upon him, and he's like, oh, I'll help you, don't worry about it, this and that. And he's like, but you do look kind of different, and he's saying that basically what he winds up kind of talking out loud is that, like, oh yeah, you're like the Yeti, the abominable snowman, that sort of thing, like a monster. And Chopper is very sensitive to those sort of things. He doesn't want to be called that, so he just goes and hauls off and is like, wham, just nails the doctor, and wham, nails him again, and he starts beating the living shit out of Dr. Hiruluk. And so this goes on for a couple panels or pages or what have you, and it's kind of, and he's like flashing back as this is happening. It's one of those things where it's like you can tell it like mentally bothers him. It's like a trigger, because the trigger is him saying that with the monster, and then he goes and it triggers memories of like when the people were treating him like shit and basically getting out the pitchforks and the torches and being like, kill him, and of course him just not ever being able to fit in anywhere. So, and that of course hurting his feelings and his whole well-being, not knowing where he belongs and where he should be. So we get him of course for a couple pages beating the shit out of Dr. Hiruluk. Dr. Hiruluk then goes and he's just like, I would never shoot you, and I'm a doctor. I just want to help people, you know. And I always think of like the old Star Trek. Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a gynecologist or whatever the hell he used to say. I forget. I'm getting old. But at any rate, so we wind up going, and then the chapter ends shortly after that. We get a final page, if you will. So we can only assume that Chopper, because now we go and we see him, and he's like the cute, cuddly little Chopper, but he's like all bandaged, or pretty much from head to toe, almost like a mummy, you know, because of all of his wounds and everything. And they get cute little fellas there. We assume back at Dr. Hiruluk's house. And they're sitting there by the fire and everything, and Chopper goes and grabs, he sees like a loaf of bread, you know, some food, you know, and he must have been starving, and he goes and he grabs it, and the last panel of the page is this panel where he's just like chomping into the bread, but it looks like there's just like tears rolling down his eyes. So I think, and I may be reading too much into this, I don't know, we'll find out in the next chapter, but I think this might be like the first time that he's ever been shown like any type of affection, you know, and he's just overcome with joy. So that is the chapter question. I mean, what do you think it is? Was he saddened? Did I misread that? Was he just overcome with joy that somebody finally treated him with kindness and someone finally helped him and didn't push him away and say you don't belong? And that's basically the other question that I have. So and again, I mean, a lot of it's just opinion. I may find out, you know, 15 minutes from now when I read the next chapter that I'm completely off base or that I was 100% correct. But either way, I would like to know what your opinion is. So leave that answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
Remember, brothers and sisters, to share, subscribe, spread the word of the nation to others, and of course, if you like watching the videos, you know, watching them is always much appreciated. Have a nice day.